Hello again, Christian.
Do well. How are you?
I'm all right. Just clocking out for the day from a real job. Okay. How's the cleanup going?
Good. We have done the pre-cleanup. Now, like the full team will come at the same time at 2 o'clock. Yeah, it's looking way better. Never fun, but always
Yeah.
nice to be clean for a while. Erica, you missed a thrilling access and success meeting. Thrilling.
I bet. By thrilling, you mean depressing?
It was very depressing. Yeah. Melissa was in a quite a mood.
Oh no, that's rough. I told my department I didn't want to be the chair of our committee anymore just because I felt like I was stale and had done it for the past 4 years and no one volunteered to do it. So I guess I'm still technically the default chair, but yeah, I don't know.
What are you the chair of?
Our access and success committee, DEI committee for our
Oh,
department.
hmm. How's that going, Christian, in Mech?
Um, it just makes me sad sometimes. It's going fine, I guess. The college-wide stuff is sad. We had a meeting with Melissa, and it just like bumped me out. When Melissa is a sad person, it's a bad sign. So, but it's going fine.
Good. Oh man. So I think we're waiting for both Paul and Parker. But yeah, Parker was something like just getting off an airplane and gonna get on this call. Um, but I guess we can start with Misa, who is now ready to present and defend his three objects.
Yes, I am. I hope. Okay, so my first object is this that I'm always wearing. I actually got it from my grandma in Mexico, before she passed away 4 years ago. And I never really take it off. So you'll always catch me in it, even if I'm wearing a suit or I just never take it off. So that is one of my first objects. I don't know if you guys know. I work as a part-time barista at Dutch Bros. So catch me there opening 4:45. I'm whipping up some energy drinks, some coffees, some teas. If you guys ever need a hookup, let me know. And then my third object is this because I have had it. This is my longest water bottle that I've had for like 4 years. Um, I've lost all my other ones within like the span of a year, so this is kind of like a crazy milestone for me. Um, I'm a big plant guy. I have many house plants. One of my passions, hobbies. I think I got this from like some Energy Institute thing. Um, this is like a little pine cone ranger, and then it's a forest. Um, yeah, it says, "Man, I love forests." Um, so yeah, I think that one's funny. Um, that was from HVC. Which one
The energy sticker, the energy nerd.
was it actually?
Yeah, because I have them too.
Oh, well, I could not remember. Um, and then I got this one from Mexico when I went in, it was like a year ago during Christmas. And then I am very obsessed with owls. So I have an owl on here. And then I have a Dutch sticker that says Dutch Dad. Um, but yeah, those are my three objects.
That's like 10 objects in one.
Yeah, there's a lot of stickers on here. I wanted to put more, but I don't want to cover any of them up.
Mm, totally. Is Paul here yet? Is Parker here, Paul? Are we
Parker
still
is
waiting?
not here, but it looks like his plane landed, so I'm gonna call him.
Okay. You're tracking his flight?
Yep.
Well, so, I guess while we're waiting, we can, you guys are going to, install phase one at a house today. There is possibly going to be an ice cream party if you guys tell me so. I challenged the field team to achieve continuous data at my house. For how long did I say? Was it 6 weeks or was it a month? Because we
I
kept
think,
having data problems, so
yeah, it was a month,
it was a
but we
month. I
went
said
longer
we would
than
have
a
an ice
month.
cream party.
So
We had a month of continuous data. So we're gonna have an ice cream party. If it's not today, it'll be another day. You can come to the ice cream party if you want. Let us know and Misa will text you if it's on today. I think it depends on the progress of phase one and the subsequent mood of the team. What's going on, Paul?
I have no idea. He didn't answer. Um, I did make sure to let him know that if for any reason there was going to be a problem, to let me know, and he hasn't let me know. Um, so I don't know what to say
Mm,
beyond I'm trying.
okay. Well, I did not have a backup.
No,
That's why the meeting announcement came out this morning because I was kind of waiting for the okay on Parker. We do need to talk to, or I think it would be great for the team to hear from the contracting perspective.
yeah. So maybe if we can give him uh, uh, I saw somebody joining. I was hoping it was Parker. It's not. Um, I don't know if there's anything that do we want to discuss before going out into the field this afternoon? I'm just trying to figure out something to make use of the time while we give Parker a couple more minutes
Yeah,
to
we can give Paul,
hopefully join.
yeah, we can give, why don't we give him a few more minutes? Um, I think we're set for the field. And I don't want to take everybody's time to talk about field stuff. Um,
I have something I can remind everybody for. So I don't know if anybody knows, or actually you should know, the availability sheet that we have, which I'm gonna link right here, has a new tab called Overview, and it has a tab, so you have the email address. We do have a shared calendar that you're gonna be able to see when all the site visits are gonna be. You can ask me for access because I don't know how to give it without just putting, like, I can't put your name. I have to send something. I don't know. But if anybody else joins, etc., we have all the information here. And then there's useful links. So if like you're like, oh gosh, I can't find this or that, feel free to add to it if you feel like there's something important that we're missing, but it should have quite a few things that are relevant. So yeah. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. It was me that couldn't find anything, so I asked for help. It's like it's my folder and I can't find anything. And then I think we're gonna be, I followed up with some of you on the discussions we had about paper developments. I think after the break, we're gonna be talking about public facing products that are not necessarily papers, but people have asked for a lot of information about sharing or understanding their air quality, and that's a discussion we could have. It's also a discussion we could have in the larger patch group because a lot of people have contacts and questions about that. So not really sure what else to do because I wasn't prepared for anything else. Do we just want to put the meeting on pause and people can, I'm sure everybody's got something to do and we can just hang out here and wait for Parker? Does that seem okay? Or do people want to, to play a game or something? I'm sure everybody's in kind of work mode right now.
Can you play Heads Up 7-Up on Zoom?
I don't know how. Or Duck Duck Goose.
Kidding.
Yeah. So why don't we do that unless people if people want to break out and talk about getting ready for the field study. Misa, is anything needed? Come on, who's going to the field? Misa, Will, Danny, Paul. I can put y'all
Print
in a
it
breakout,
out.
but the rest of you can tune out until you hear from us that it's time to come back.
I think we're all good, Tammy.
Yeah, so I thought forms printed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give the gift card to Paul.
I feel guilty about this and I've tried to make sure we had this and now here we are spinning our wheels. Sorry.
Well, let's like I think it was optimistic to have Parker get off a plane and communicate with us. We never know what happens when somebody's traveling. So it was nice of him to try to squeeze us in, but maybe we were too optimistic.
Yeah, but we were also thinking that he had a backup person, but that backup person would have to not get stuck in something else and be told he should join, which would be by Parker. And if Parker's not able to communicate with us, maybe he's not able to communicate with his other person. But yeah, if we want to just kind of hang out but work on other things and see if he joins, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording. I have plenty of stuff to do that's accumulated from my other meetings this morning, so I'm gonna put the recording on pause. We'll wait until say 1:30 Mountain and then we'll call it. Okay. All righty. Thanks.
Yeah, that sounds good. So you can certainly introduce yourself, Parker, but I'll say that Parker and I've known each other now for a little while. We've been on multiple proposals together. We've done curriculum development together. He has like 3 different businesses. One's a contractor business, one's a program program implementing business, and one's a training business. Is that about right, Parker?
That is about right, yes.
And he's a contractor who really understands a lot of these things about making things truly work, not just slapping crap in because you're getting paid to do it, but try to make it do what it's supposed to do. Parker, anything else you want to add for an introduction before we jump into some discussion?
No, that's about good, I think.
Okay.
I'll mute it right now just for on my side because they're gonna start talking here for a second. But
Can I just say Parker, I don't know if you can see or if you're on your phone, there's a bunch of the team here, and I I don't know if Paul's mentioned Christian Larange to you before, but Christian's on our tech team. He does a lot with controls, measurement. He's a sort of data and I don't know how you describe yourself, Christian, but you might hear from him.
Okay, that sounds good.
Right. So the main reason we wanted Parker to join is you hear from me sometimes about what I say I think is possible and plausible and reasonable. But it's different hearing it from me versus hearing it from a contractor. And there are things that maybe some subtleties that I'm not aware of because I'm not doing this all the time. So we wanted Parker to join. And I've got some questions that I actually fed Parker before that I can just kind of start going through. But I also I want to give others an opportunity. Like if there's something, Christian, for example, that you really want to make sure we get Parker's input on in the short time we have with him here, please feel free to jump in. I don't have to go through my list of questions directly like that.
Yeah, why don't you go through yours? I think you and I have talked enough times. You probably have a decent idea of where my questions are going to go. So just from an expediency standpoint, why don't we have one person drive the conversation and we'll pop in where appropriate.
Sounds
But
good. Sounds good. All right. So first question is, Parker, one of the concerns that we have that people have expressed is, so we've got somebody, they've already got a furnace there. It's been running. And now we're talking about cutting a hole in the side of the return and sticking a duct that brings in cold outside air and into the return. And any thoughts you have on the simplicity of that, the safety of that, any concerns about that, the how much people do that, code issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in my experience, this is done all the time. It's done on a lot of new homes as well. Not necessarily, not what you all are designing and everything, but a hole into the return from that is tubed or ducted outside, right? So that it's actually pretty common to have ducting from outside just as like quote unquote fresh air. And so we see it all the time. We do it all the time. And I don't see any issues being able to do this. And I don't actually see it hurting the system either.
And just to be fair, I did tell Parker that we have talked about that that temperature issue, and he agreed that is something we do need to take into account. So I do want to acknowledge there was that point.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we did talk about that. And if we can keep the really cold air from going out, right, that's going to help keep the efficiency of the current furnace up and help it blow the warmest air possible. So,
Tammy, go ahead. You got your hand up.
Yeah, Parker, when you say it's done all the time, I think you're saying that people draw air in from outside to increase fresh air. Is there, I think one thing that's different about what Paul's suggesting is that there's a fan pushing the air, and is that also commonly done?
so a fan specifically is not commonly done. Where this project becomes unique in that kind of a situation, but these systems are meant to have air go through them, right? So whether the fan is on itself within the furnace, or in this case with the inline fan going, the air is meant to move through these systems. So I don't see this being an issue, having air move through. The only thing that I could see potentially being affected here would maybe be static pressure within the ductwork.
And maybe
did that answer
we'll
the question, Tammy?
Sorry, I'm nodding, but you probably can't see me.
Okay, yeah, sure.
maybe we'll get to this one later. The other question I had in terms of the kind of active blowing versus the passive open pipe, which sounds like that might be a little more common, is any concerns or considerations you think we might need to have in our minds in terms of timing when our system blows air, when it shouldn't blow air, in relationship to when the furnace is on, those sort of timing considerations, if any.
I'm not sure if it truly matters either way there, Christian, but if the way that the common ones work is when the furnace is running, right? So if you're doing it at that point, there should be potentially no issue, and except for that potential increase in static pressure. So if it's not running at all, then static pressure shouldn't really be a thing because you're not throwing air through the whole system, except through that inline fan, which is not going to give us much airflow as the actual blower motor.
Yeah, so Parker, this is not a question that I teed you up with, but I think it follows from this. I have been generally assuming that for the most part, if let's say a furnace fan was nominally moving 800 CFM before we put in our system, then we put in our system and our system is blowing, say, 200 CFM of air, that it would still, the air handler fan, the furnace fan would be moving still around that 800, just 200 would be coming from outside, 600 recirculated from the house. Is that a reasonable assumption,
That's
or am I off base?
No, that's reasonable. Reasonable. It might be like 850 though, right? Because this also depends on the ductwork because ductwork can only handle so much. It also
Right.
depends on the fan itself of the furnace, right? So if you have a modulating fan and it is moving, it's on low, let's say, and so then it's only moving 200 CFM. Now with your inline fan, now you're going to be able to move more because there's not that static pressure buildup. But if it is at max, that's where your static pressure could come into consideration.
So one of the things this is again, I'm going off the list of questions I sent you, but I think it really does follow here. I have been thinking that a good approach would be that whenever our system is going to want to come on, that we turn the furnace fan on at heating speed, regardless of whether we're heating. Would you agree with that, or would you not agree with that? And if you don't, why?
That's a good question. So I would say that, what do you mean by heating speed, I guess?
So, like, furnace fans typically, when there's a call for heat, there may be several different speed taps on the circuit board. One of them is its
Correct.
heating speed. If it's like an ECM that's trying to target maintaining a certain flow, it's going to adjust, but it's still trying to get to that point. To basically, if our system is coming on, to send a signal to the furnace to run the fan the fan itself in the same way it would run the fan if there was a call for heat.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. And if we do have ECM motors, then they adjust to the pressure, what they need that flow to get to. So it would just stay on a lower level with an ECM because you're adding that extra air,
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, not being familiar with all the lingo. ECM is some kind of control module that modulates the flow.
I gotta get up there too.
Yeah, basically it's a way to, sorry, I'm in someone's way. Uh, it basically ECM motors will modulate from very, very low pressures all the way up to as high as they need to go to get the right amount of air to the right places in the house. So it's just kind of a smart blower, I guess.
Yeah, okay. So
So
then
it's,
if something's being pushed in from the outside, it's gonna account for that because it sees it in the pressures across the fan. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. It's similar to if we had a really dirty filter, or even a kind of dirty filter, right? It will try to push the right amount of air through. That's part of the reason we want to change filters, is so that we don't suffocate the airflow, because it will push it'll try to push air through a dirty filter. But if we have a clean filter, then it does it correctly. And if you have a really dirty filter, then it will up that airflow to get that. So
yes, so the ECM motor, it's a whole different technology of motor.
Yeah.
The standard, the older styles, like called a permanent split capacitor motor. ECM is electrically commutated motor, and it's brushless. I believe it's DC, and so it's much lower power draw. And it is designed to be able to just kind of continuously modulate. And so by combining that with these pressure sensors in the system, it modulates to produce a certain pressure, to make sure we get a certain amount of flow. Is that proper characterization, Parker? Oh,
Sorry. Yes. Yes, you
okay.
got it.
And you're on mute, Tammy.
Is this something we should, seems like we should probably note when we do the initial inspection of the house, what kind of controls it has. Because if
Yeah,
we
more
don't have an
information
ECM, do we have a
always
whole,
better.
What'd you say, Parker?
Sorry, Tammy. I said more information is always better.
Mm.
Right. If we know that we have an ECM, great. If we know that we don't, that's a different scenario. I don't think that this will drastically affect either type.
Can you talk a little bit more about what those differences might be? Do you see it as a difference in how our system might perform, or that we would make different choices in our installation or implementation, depending on the motor?
I would just say it would be differences potentially in performance.
Okay.
And so if everything is sized correctly, we shouldn't have any issues. We just know that a lot of times ductwork is too big, too small, things like that. So that's where we would maybe see, going back to that static pressure, right? We might see a little bit of a higher static pressure within this system.
So, yeah.
Okay. So another question
Did
I
that answer the question, or?
Yes, it did. Thank you for that.
So the
Yeah,
next
absolutely.
question that I sent to Parker that I haven't gotten to yet is how easy it would be for us to connect the wiring that for controlling our system that Christian is working on into the furnace controls.
Yes. And this one I did ask my lead on, because I was curious as well. And he said it's very easy to hook things into furnaces, like to the, like a thermostat port, things like that. But he said he would have to look at it to know the complete difficulty.
So that would vary from house to house potentially.
Potentially. But he said it's very easy to hook things up, whether it be a humidifier, right? You can also hook things into like the humidifier. You call it like a brain, but basically the ports that you would hook a humidifier into. So there's extra ports on these systems to hook accessories essentially.
So does that suggest, so Parker, I don't know if Paul told you this, but we're doing a scoping of each home that might be installed, or where this system might be installed, and there's other considerations to installing, including whether they're in whether they actually have air pollution that they could be protected from. So there will be a screening before installation. I wonder if there's a role for taking photos of the thermostat and getting its model number so that you folks have that preparation before you go.
Yeah, Tammy, I think that's a great idea, right? And really, the thermostat is less important than the wires, the thermostat wires themselves.
Yeah, so
So,
take the thermostat off the base plate, take a photo of the base plate where you can see all the wires and where they're connected, and then probably
yes,
also open up take the cover off of the front of the furnace itself, and maybe take a photo of where things are connected on the board at the furnace.
yes, both are correct. And those are both great things to know on the back end as well. We've done a couple things for we're doing some thing for NREL, and we had to switch all the thermostats, and it worked via wireless connectivity. They could monitor from not being in the house, and sometimes they had been installed. The thermostats themselves had been installed backwards. So we need to make sure that we have those initial pictures, which our team would take anyway, but just kind of to have, multiple backups, if you will, so that if there is a wire that someone installed incorrectly the first time, we can at least match up where those wires go. Does that make sense? To explain it a different way?
No, well, other people can say that, but
That made sense to me.
So, okay.
Parker, another
So-
question. Oh, go ahead, Tammy.
well, I just wanted to comment that I know Christian's been quite concerned, and rightly so, that we not affect the operation of the house negatively. And your comments on the wiring installation and the ducting just brought back to mind that in addition to dealing with properly operating houses that we don't want to disturb, we may run into many, many improperly operating houses. So, well, let's just see what we find.
Yeah, actually, that
Agreed.
flagged the same thing. We should probably have that as a exclusion criteria. If the team sees something sketched with the furnace, it's probably not a household that we want to be
That's
at
fair.
least doing
Yeah,
the pressurization.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's fixable, like if it's just plain wired wrong. I'm not really sure. Let's take these one case at a
Yep.
time because I don't feel like
Yeah.
I'm able to identify all the possible permutations of how things could go wrong.
On this point, Christian, you and I talked about how Jason Wolfson had said in his system there was a thing that might be an issue with compressors and where we turn on a compressor at the wrong time. I clarified that with him, I can send it to you, but he told me it happens, but it happens only when things were wired incorrectly. If it happens, it means that somebody screwed up the connections from the thermostat, but it indicates that these are things that we need to be very careful about, because people do screw up the connections from thermostats.
Yeah. So I have a question, and we can maybe leave this to the end, or maybe it's an add-on later, but I want to get through your questions as well, Paul. But I'd be curious in kind of talking through where we think the largest stumbling points would be and how long we think doing the site-by-site. So if every furnace is slightly different, we're going to have to figure out the individual ports and all of those. Those all sound like addressable things, and so I'm on board there. Just thinking through what that workflow might be, and similar to what you and I, Paul, did the other day of what are these corner cases that we need to design in the circuit board is probably a worthwhile thing in light of that. But that's just a note for us to probably circle back to in
Yeah.
the future.
Might be a really good topic for a near-term tech team meeting. So Parker, this is again another question I didn't already prompt you with, but I think it's pretty straightforward. My impression is that you don't really see new furnaces with old permanent split capacitor motors anymore. Is that correct?
Generally speaking, yeah. Yeah, we don't, unless there was something that went really weird. We've seen some of that kind of stuff in income qualified where they just threw some random furnace, blower into a furnace and somehow made it work. But I would say in general, you're correct.
Yeah, when the ECMs first came out in like the 90s, I think, or maybe very early 2000s, they were definitely a premium product. But my recollection is that, like for Energy Star, you just couldn't even get Energy Star certification with a PSC motor. You really had to go to the ECM. So we really started to see them dominate the market. There's another kind of motor out there, an X13. I don't know that we'll see any of those. Those tend to be a little fancier, but maybe we will. And Parker, would it be correct that if we collect make and model numbers, we could generally look online and have that tell us what kind of motor they got?
Oh, that'd be super, super helpful. Super.
Yeah, because I think that's pretty standard information. Like if you see this make and model, it's not like some of them have ECM, some of them have PSCs, and some of them have X13s. That model has that kind of blower.
Yeah, so you've got a house coming up today, and that's a great time to start implementing this. It sounds like we
Yep.
need a little more on the characterization of the heating system and thermostat form, but that procedure can be developed.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can implement it today. We can start implementing it today. Okay, so Parker, so we've done this. Let's say we've done this all this installation at a house. We've gotten through the whole time period that we're there, and we're ready to go and remove it all. And because we're not planning to leave these in place. So now we've cut this hole into the furnace plenum. We've cut this hole into the rim joist, and now we want to kind of put things back. How hard is
Yeah.
that?
I mean, not hard. So really the fixing the hole in the furnace ducting is super, super easy, right? Piece of sheet metal, some mastic, or all the field guys call it pookie. Basically, it's a gray goop that you seal ductwork with. And then one thing that we were thinking about is if we keep basically the wood from the rim joist, we can just stick that back in, and then that we cut out, and then we can just do some spray foam over it, and then it's sealed and insulated much better than it was before. Even so,
Yeah, and I would.
that's the only things that I can foresee. Yeah.
Yeah, and just for the team's view, I feel like everything except the rim joist piece of this, I feel like I could do. I mean, I've sealed a bunch of ducts in my career. It's not
Yeah.
hard, but I do want you to hear this stuff from Parker, not from me. Those were the questions that I had prompted Parker with. I was really kind of focused on the contractor experience with installing this type of system and some of the concerns that you have raised. I also acknowledge that I might not have remembered everything. So I do want to make sure, if now that I've gotten through what I had prompted him with and some things I hadn't prompted him with, other questions that people have. We've got this opportunity to have Parker for a little bit, few more minutes. What do you got?
First, let me say, super thankful for you doing the time, especially as you're probably walking from a plane somewhere. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The other kind of large topic area, I guess, to get your perspective on is thoughts about where we might have pushback or concern or risk or any of those elements associated with permitting, because we're maybe in different cities and all that. And it seems maybe a little vague about if we have to do permitting at all, but say that we do just for now. Are any of these things that you think we might get caught up with perpetual delays and permits approved or any of that bureaucratic fun?
Unless there's something that I'm completely missing here, I can't see that being an issue. First of all, these are not permanent, and second of all, it's ducting, so it's not like we're adding to a house or subtracting from a house, right? So I don't see that, and we're not doing anything that would put anyone in danger. So I don't see anything that would be problematic permitting. And some of these cities, like, we'll pull permits for anything we need to do. If they say you don't need to pull a permit, then we won't have to pull a permit and there'll be nothing there, right? And we'll try to get that in writing just so that we can have that as a backup. You guys didn't pull a permit. Well, here's the email that said we didn't need to pull a permit.
That's great to hear. But how about from the homeowner's perspective? I think some of this is likely going to be perception as much as it is reality. Any places that you think we should be prepared for pushback, or they said they understood when we were starting and then your team gets there and starts doing work and suddenly they get upset? I imagine you've seen all kinds of reactions from homeowners, but things that we should be prepped for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the biggest piece that I think could be homeowner driven would be cutting through the rim joist. Right. So we'll be essentially putting a hole in someone's house. And granted, we are going to seal it from the inside, so it'll no longer be a hole. Right. But people can get, for lack of a better term, fidgety about stuff like that. Right. But it's nothing structural. We're not doing anything that would harm the home itself, right? The structure of the house or anything like that. So it should not be an actual issue. It would just be maybe a perceived issue. So that would be my kind of one piece that I think we want to make sure we're very clear on, is like, yes, we are going to do this, but you won't, at the end, you won't end up with a hole in your house, right? This will all be sealed and insulated and stuff like that after we're done. So
Okay, great.
Yeah, that makes me think that as soon as we have the opportunity to, we should get photos of what this all looks like, that we could have, even if we can't have it for the first house because we haven't done it yet. If we, take photos at the first house and then include that in our participant facing material, this is what it would look like. Is this all right with you?
yes, I think that's a great idea, Paul. And even if we take, there's always this point where there's too much information or there's not enough information, right? We want to hit that Goldilocks if we can. And so we can take pictures throughout the entire process, right? But we need to decide which ones we want to include to the homeowner so that we give them enough information so that they're comfortable with it without too much information where they don't understand. So then they get nervous, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think
Right. There's that fine line.
not taking pictures of the worst thing and then showing it to them and saying, "Hey, are you okay with this?" Right,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
telling them stuff like, "This is going to look like a lot, but that's actually just a mess or whatever, and it is not structural." And I hear what you're saying. I don't know how to do it, but I hear that point.
Right. Right. Yeah, and we can help as much as we can along the way too, right? We're really good at describing these things to homeowners, and we're really good at making them comfortable with what we're going to do. And to me, it's relatively easy, obviously, depending on the homeowner, but it's relatively easy to do that as long as they know that it's not permanent and it's not structural. Those are generally their two biggest things.
I think that
Any
covers
other
my
questions?
major questions. I think I will likely have some things as I digest a little bit here. It's a lot of information, but I think I've got my questions answered at this point. So thank you
Okay.
again, Parker. Appreciate it.
Okay, absolutely.
Parker, if Christian or others come up with questions, do you mind if I send them over to you?
No, please do.
And I would not necessarily anticipate a request for another joining the call. I figured there's a lot that people had questions about. It was really, I think, very helpful to have you here where we could have the dialogue, individual one-off questions that people come up with later as they're thinking about it. I think we can just probably handle by email.
Yeah, absolutely fine. And please send all the questions that you have along the way, and we'll keep planning this until we do it, and then we'll do it. We'll get the pictures. We'll make sure everyone's good with it, and then we'll do it again.
And we do have a purchase order in place for Parker to do these installations. That part has been completed. So now that's not the sticking point. I know we're at time, but any last questions from anybody? Okay, I think not. So, thank you so much, Parker, for joining. I know you have a bus to catch.
Yep,
So, I really, really appreciate you taking the time while you're in travel status and even at all to talk through this with folks and help people get a picture of your experience with these things. So, yeah, thank you so much, and thanks everybody else for joining.
absolutely happy to do it, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Parker.
Yep, thank you. Bye.
Bye, Parker.
Okay, everyone. Well, have a great weekend. And we're not meeting next week, although some people will be seeing each other for installations. So have a great holiday if I don't see you.
Amy, can I just thank you for 2 minutes for something else?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to just stay on here and I'll stop recording?
Sure, that'd be great.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks for putting this